This is Viola Ochsner, and today it is July 19th, 2009. Hi, Vi.
Hi.
How are
Sarah.
you? We're out at your farm. Why don't you explain first where your farm is?
Well, it's 5 miles northeast of Alpena.
Good. You know, Vi, tell me about your life as a child. Tell me about what it was like to be a child growing up in South Dakota. Tell me about how many years you went to school, and you can just talk and share your life.
Well, I was born on a farm about 5 miles from Parker, South Dakota,
Mm-hmm.
and lived there. And I went to a country school,
Mm-hmm.
and of course we had to do chores before we could go to school. And we only lived a quarter of a mile from school, so we felt bad. Other kids all got to ride.
Oh, did you have to walk then?
Oh
Because
yes. Well,
yeah.
we had to milk the cows,
Mm-hmm.
and there was a school bell 8:30. It
Mm-hmm.
would ring, so we knew we had a half an hour to get ready
Mm-hmm.
and run to school. So
Oh, wow.
so that's
That was probably hard during the winter, wasn't it?
oh well, it wasn't so far, you know.
Yeah, half a
No,
mile.
and another thing, all the girls wore overalls. I don't know how that got started, but
Mm-hmm.
and the mothers they made us blouses. And, you know, the chicken feed come with flowered, sacks,
Oh, really?
and they were pretty. So our mothers, all the girls, we all wore these blouses underneath the overalls.
Really?
And I don't know why that got started, but in the
So
winter.
was that the school or just your family?
No, it was a school.
Wow.
All
So
the
those
kids.
were your uniforms.
Yes.
Interesting.
Yeah, there was blue and we had striped overalls, and I don't know, but see, that was good in the wintertime,
Yeah.
you
Yeah,
know,
plenty warm.
and you didn't have to wear all these dresses and socks, you know.
Because that was back when dresses were more common than overalls for
Yes,
girls, wasn't it?
yes, and I don't know how that got started, but
But you're glad it did, I bet.
yeah, it was, well, it's comfortable.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah, you bet it was. So how many brothers and sisters did you have?
There was 8 of us in the
Wow.
family, but my oldest brother, he died when he was 3,
Mm.
and then they had of course, then my brother Dick.
Mm-hmm.
And then it was my sister Ann
Mm-hmm.
and Etta, and then brother Harvey, and then they had a stillborn son.
Okay. Mm.
Then it was myself
Mm-hmm.
and Dorothy.
Oh, wow. You had a
So
big family.
they all had big families back then.
Yes. So now what did your father farm? Was he still living most of your life on the farm or?
No, the last few years they moved to town. My folks moved to
Oh,
town.
okay.
And then my oldest brother, lived on the farm there, then farmed that.
And what was your maiden name?
Buskohl.
Muskell.
Buskohl.
Buskell.
Buskohl.
Okay, yeah. Familiar name now that you spell it.
Yes.
Interesting. So, as far as what were some of the fun things you liked about growing up on the farm? It sounds like you had to work hard.
Well, just ordinary chores. I don't know if it was hard, but that's what everybody did those days.
You bet.
You know, you
You
just
bet.
did chores,
Mm-hmm.
gathered eggs, feed chickens, stuff.
Yep. You worked.
Well,
That was
you know,
you don't work, you don't eat. It used to be,
Yeah.
and I mean, that's a biblical saying, but it's still
yeah.
a hard one. I mean, some people don't live that way anymore today.
And we had large gardens and
Oh,
a lot
okay.
of fruit trees and stuff like that. My dad, he grew everything, and we had our own fruit and stuff. So yeah, it was good.
I'd like to go back just a little bit further to your grandparents and who came over to America first, where they came from, you know, what part of Germany or wherever they came from and that type of stuff. Do you know some of that history at all?
Yes, I do. Not father, my dad, his folks they were in Germany,
Mm-hmm.
and I think it was Friesland, Friesland, Germany, something I think that was.
Mm-hmm.
And they settled in Illinois,
Mm-hmm.
and then they later
Where in Illinois? Do you know?
Just can't think now.
That's okay. Don't worry about it. So they settled in Illinois.
Illinois, and then they came to South Dakota.
Interesting. And that was your grandparents or your great-grandparents?
That would be my grandparents.
Okay.
Yes.
Wow. So they were first-generation Americans.
Yes.
Great. And then, so how many brothers and sisters were in your mother and father's families?
Well, my dad, he had, I think there was 3 brothers, and I think 3 sisters. But there were some that had died too, but I can't tell you how many, those days,
Mm-hmm.
you know.
Now,
then,
did they all live in South Dakota then? Or?
yes,
Okay.
they all lived in South Dakota then.
Okay. And then how about your mom? Did she have brothers and sisters? Or?
Well, her parents come from Germany too.
Oh, okay.
And then they settled in Ackley, Iowa.
Okay.
And then they come to South Dakota, Parker, South Dakota there. And my mother had 1 sister and 4 brothers.
Oh.
Yes.
They had their hands full.
Yeah, so
Excuse me.
that was my mother's
Okay.
brothers and sisters.
Okay.
Yeah,
So, on the farm, what did you do for fun? Was there anything you can think of as you were growing up that was fun?
Well,
Or that you really looked forward to?
well, the neighbors, they all live so close.
Yeah.
You know, and us kids would all get together and we'll play hide and go seek and do things like that. And some had a horse and coming with their horse and they ride horseback
Fun.
and then in the wintertime, well, everybody, the whole neighborhood liked to dance.
Mm-hmm.
So we in the wintertime we'd go from house to house, and there was several people that could play the accordion and the piano and had the music.
Mm-hmm.
So from little on, you had to learn how to dance.
Like barn dance? Like your old barn dances and stuff, was it? Or was it just like...
Circle, 2-step, and the waltz, and then the square dance, the circle, 2-step, and the square dance, like that. And there were several. Well, I think there was 2 bachelors there. Well, you had to dance with even when you was little, so you had to learn. You had to learn how to dance. So that was during the winter.
Yep.
But I always think, we just. Well, of course, they had linoleum floors at that time. It put the furniture all in one room. Then, of course, you bring your lunches. Then it was just a fun time.
Yes. Yes.
And
I suppose everybody brought their sweets and all that kind of stuff
everybody
too.
brought some lunch and that was about once a month, I guess it was.
Well, that must have been fun, though.
Yeah, it was during the winter, so.
So did you have a church affiliation as you were growing up, a church that you attended, or?
It was the Presbyterian Church.
Okay.
It was about 5 miles from the farm there.
Are they in town now? I think. Maybe?
No, they're still out in the country.
Are they?
It's a big church, and the cemetery there's where my parents are buried
Oh,
too,
is that
and
right?
their brothers.
Okay.
Yeah,
Parker Presbyterian, I suppose.
Well, it's to the east, but more by Chancellor, South Dakota.
Oh, okay.
That way.
Oh,
Yes.
okay. Well, that's great.
It's in the country church.
Great. Well, let's go on to when you moved to Alpena. Where you met your husband, and talk all about your meeting him and getting married and moving to Alpena.
Well, I'll have to tell you how that went. See, we lived out by Parker, the whole family, and my sister Ann, she and her husband Fred Brass decided to move to Alpena.
Oh my.
So, of course, I went with them to help my sister clean and get settled in their home. And that was in March 1939.
Okay.
So that's when I met Ariel then.
So did you meet him at a dance or at where'd you meet him?
Well, we had just moved and we were busy getting settled in the house, and he knocked on the door. He wanted to know who was moving in,
Mm-hmm.
and he had farmed that land,
Mm-hmm.
and he had grain in the grain bins, so
Oh.
he just kind of asked him
Mm-hmm.
when he should get it out, and that's the first time I seen him. Then later on, I guess we went to town,
Mm-hmm.
and he asked me for a date then.
Second time you met him, huh? Wow.
So,
And then you got married in 1941, you said?
1941.
And where did you get married, in church, or where did you get married?
No, we went to Rock Rapids, Iowa,
Hmm.
and went to a Reformed minister there, and married us in the parsonage there.
That's interesting. Now, why was that? I mean, I would have thought you would have stopped in Parker.
Well, see, my brother Harvey
Mm-hmm.
and his girlfriend was, Margaret Stubbe.
Mm-hmm.
They went, the four of us went together,
Uh-huh.
and we both got married at the same time. We
Stood up for each other,
yes.
huh? Oh, how fun. Well, that is
Yeah,
neat.
so that's,
I know that was more common back then. Nowadays it's all about the big wedding,
no.
It doesn't matter anything. Well, that's neat. So you just took a trip, huh? Where'd you go on your honeymoon? Probably back to Alpena, right?
Yes, back to Alpena. Yes. Well, the whole family just went off and got married. We went to ministers.
Yeah.
I mean, you didn't have big weddings those
No.
days.
No, you didn't. So that was 1941. Then did he go to the war at all?
No.
Okay.
But see, that fall, December 1941,
Mm-hmm.
December 7th,
Mm-hmm.
then Japan, bombed
Right, Pearl
Pearl
Harbor.
Harbor.
Right.
Of course, the farmers didn't have to go.
Oh, okay.
But he,
If they were established, I suppose, as
well,
farmers.
he had to raise hogs for,
Yeah.
they used that lard for bullets,
Yeah.
make bullets and grain and stuff like that. So, but he did get classified he got classified, and as soon as the war got, he got classified pretty close.
Oh, wow.
But he never did have to go.
Good, good. Well,
But
he was lucky.
But so many of the young
Mm-hmm.
fellas, they went.
I know. Whether they were married or not, I know.
Yes.
So you were saying that you grew up in a country school. What was it like to go to a little country school? We're already back in Alpena. I'm sorry. Okay, so tell me about Alpena. You moved to the farm. And so what did your husband do as far as farming? He'd been to the war. I mean, he helped provide pigs and all that kind of stuff for the war.
That's what the farmers did at that
Right.
time. That's why they didn't have to go to the service.
Right.
Well, we farmed, and we had oats and wheat and corn,
Mm-hmm.
and we had cattle,
Mm-hmm.
hogs, ordinary farming,
Yeah, yeah. All that stuff. And a lot of that back then went, didn't it, to overseas to feed the people that were working over there. And
Yeah,
in the army.
Everything was rationed then too.
Yeah.
The machinery and tires and, well, even sugar.
Hmm.
A lot of stuff, was just all rationed. And
Mm-hmm.
I made a scrapbook of the war at that time,
Oh, really?
and I got all the stuff that was rationed, and then the Alpena Journal. They had a paper in Alpena,
Mm-hmm.
and then the parents would put their sons' pictures in the paper. So
Mm-hmm.
I didn't know any of them because I just moved here, but I cut them all out and I put them in there. Of course, now I got to know who they were,
Oh, wow.
So I got all these young fellows that went to war.
Well, that must have been a wonderful historic book for people to look through. Did you
Yeah.
ever share it with other people or just your
Yes.
family?
Yes, I showed it to some. Yes.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah,
I look
so-
forward to seeing that.
Yes, you'll have to. I'll have
I
to
would
get
like
it.
that. I
Yes.
would like that. So, then you started having children. You want to talk about your children?
Well, Darwin was born on November 14th,
Mm-hmm.
1943.
couple of years after you got married.
Yeah.
Typical.
Yes. And then in May 23rd, 1947, Delilah was born.
Okay. Hmm.
Then, of course, 7 years later,
Mm-hmm.
Delwyn was May 14th, 1954.
Oh, he
So
was born the same year I was. That's why he's such a nice guy.
Yes.
Oh, that's cool. So, and then they got married, all three of them, and tell about their in-law, their wives or husbands, and then we'll talk about the grandchildren and great-grandchildren.
Well, Darwin, he married Dream Tebe,
Mm-hmm.
and they had two children, Devon
Mm-hmm.
and Dean.
Mm-hmm.
And Delilah, she married Roy Webster,
Mm-hmm.
and they had two girls, Danielle and Darcy.
Mm-hmm.
And Delwyn, he got married to Pam Mason, but they got divorced.
Mm.
They had Adam and Ty and Katie.
Okay.
And of course then Del married Linda Salters.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And that was really nice to have.
Yeah.
They're together good and have
Good.
a nice home now. And,
Oh, that's good. That's
and
good.
she was real good. She's good to the kids too.
Good. That's wonderful. So, then you have grandchildren. Now we'll do grandchildren first because I know you got great ones too. So talk about all your grandchildren. How many grandchildren do you
Well,
have?
as Darwin's
Mm-hmm.
children, Devon, she married Scott Losing,
Mm-hmm.
and she has two girls,
Mm-hmm.
Amy and Ashley.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, they're grown
Mm-hmm.
and they're in college.
Mm-hmm.
And Delilah, her two girls are married. Danielle, she's a nurse,
Mm-hmm.
and she's married to Dave Volstein,
Mm-hmm.
and they have two boys.
Mm-hmm.
It's Casey and Jordan.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, they're both in college too.
Mm-hmm.
And then Darcy, she is married to Jim Peters,
Mm-hmm.
and she has two boys, and Jacob and Joshua. And she is a nurse also.
Oh, okay.
And,
Wonderful.
and they, both the girls, they live in Wisconsin.
Okay. Great. And then how about Dean's children? Dean, did you say Dean and Sean already? I don't even remember.
See, I didn't get Dean in there, did
No.
I? Gee whiz, I missed him. Important person because he was born on my birthday.
Oh, he was?
Yes.
Well, that's neat.
And Casey Volstein, he was born on my birthday too, so I have a grandson and I have a great-grandson.
Oh, how fun. That's unusual. That doesn't
Important people on the
That's
3rd
right,
May.
you bet.
Yeah, Dean, yeah, he married Sean.
Mm-hmm.
Oh gosh, Hoffman.
Mm-hmm.
And then they have Dylan and Landon.
Mm-hmm.
And then they have the two twin girls.
Yeah.
It's Kennedy and Cameron.
Yeah. Oh, my. And they're actually great-grandchildren, aren't they?
Yeah, those are great grands.
Yeah.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Well, that's great.
Yeah.
So, talk about what it was like. Talk about what it was like out here on the farm. The neighbors and the neighboring that you did. You had a lot of neighbors out here, I know. And that talk about your neighborhood out here in Alpena a little bit.
Well, yes, we had Ernie and Myrtle Bruce.
Mm-hmm.
We were always together. They lived to the east of us, and of course then my sister and her husband lived a little bit south there. We was always together.
And where are they living now? Or
They're both deceased.
Oh, they are.
But
Sorry to hear that.
they had 2 daughters,
Okay.
Betty and Eileen. So
Oh, okay.
my kids, Darwin and Delilah, they played with. They just lived to the south a little bit, and they'd run across the pasture and play together.
Oh, how fun.
And then there was the Newharts. Of course, they were related to Ariel.
Mm-hmm.
So yes, we always all got together.
And then how far did that would be Elizabeth, wouldn't it? She was what, south of you, Elizabeth Newhart?
No, she's to the east.
Oh, to the
about
east.
A little over a mile.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
Okay. Good. So talk about so were you ever involved in a church here at all? At all? I know you are now. You're involved in our church, but did you have
Well,
activity?
when we were first married, went to a Reformed church.
Okay. And where was that located?
That was in Alpena.
Okay.
Yeah. Of course, that eventually quit.
Yeah, closed.
And closed, and then we went to the Methodists where I'm going
Where
now.
you go now.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, that's good. That's great. Have you always enjoyed the churches that you've attended?
Yes.
Have you enjoyed that? That's great. Um, Tell me about like different hobbies you have. Do you have any hobbies things you really love to do and have enjoyed in your life?
Well, I've kept a diary since 1941,
My
and
goodness.
it's just important things,
Uh-huh.
things we bought, and things that happened in the world, and the deaths, who died.
Oh my goodness.
I've got that since, and I'm still doing that.
Really? Oh, that is wonderful.
It's kind of nice to look back.
I bet.
I know Darwin and Dream, they enjoy that because lots, when people pass away and you don't think it's that many years, and
Yeah.
then they have to find out. They'd like to know when that person had died, and
Mm-hmm.
so they're in the. And of course, I made a book. I went through all my diaries,
Mm-hmm.
and I made a book for Darwin and Delwyn and Delilah, so they'll have that.
Oh, that is so good of you, Vi, because that's, history. We lose our history once our parents go if we don't have it, My parents were really good about that too, so that's great that you did that.
Well, it's so easy to forget. The time goes so fast,
Mm-hmm.
and you forget all those things.
Yes, you do.
You know.
That is wonderful that you wrote that all down. Were there other things you enjoyed doing?
Well, when I was first married there, I used to sew a lot,
Did you?
especially patch jeans.
Yeah. I think every woman's done that in her life from your generation.
Yeah. And canning. I always did a lot of canning.
Mm-hmm.
I still like to can tomatoes. The homegrown tomatoes are the best.
Oh, I know. They are so tasty, aren't they?
Yes.
They're so tasty. So is there anything else you'd like to add? Any memories or anything that you'd like to add to our little time together?
Well, I think we've had a nice day with you,
Well,
Pastor Sarah. I enjoyed your company.
yours too. I always
Oh.
enjoy it, Vi. And, it's always such a joy to spend time with you. So this has been great. And I do thank you for taking the time to interview with me. Thank you very much.